A phase in your fitness journey I recommend skipping. I've seen this all over social media lately, and I've been through so many phases myself. We gotta talk about it. I have learned, grown, and evolved so much over the past few years, and I'm constantly trying to consume and surround myself with more and more knowledge that what I know now is my reality. And sometimes I forget how much I've truly learned, and I forget that, you know, maybe the average person doesn't know how much I know now. Everyone goes at their own paces, and some really important things in health, in fitness, things like that just aren't common knowledge. So we need to address it. I have been through each one of these phases, so I'm kind of going through my own journey and pointing these out. The first phase I recommend you skipping on your fitness journey is if you're someone who's trying to lose weight. The phase of really wanting to lose weight, but not trying anything because you're too intimidated and it just feels impossible. I get that. I totally do. No matter how far you have to go, it feels impossible because it takes time. Because after one workout, you may not feel much different. I need to learn to not give up as easily. It feels like you're never going to get there. It really does. But the thing is, I have learned that something is always better than nothing. And if you have that mindset, it's going to take you far. It might take months. It might take years. It's not going to take a week. It's not going to take 2 weeks. If you think you want it so bad, but then you just throw it all away because it seems overwhelming, that is something you kind of have to get over. Saying this with tough love, you got to get out of that phase and you have to move forward. From then on, you know, maybe you actually try to start something. The next phase I would recommend skipping is getting beginner's motivation and going all in. A week of amazing workouts, eating so many veggies, being so all in though that after a week or two, you completely burn yourself out. You make one mistake, you throw in the towel, you quit, you're done. It feels impossible. I'm never gonna get there. I'm always really good about buying lots of fruits and veggies for me to keep in the house, but if I avoid everything else, it makes me want to go to desperate ends to get it. So oftentimes if I only eat greens and fruits all day, I would end up like buying something or having something much worse than if I allowed a reasonable snack or a reasonable treat throughout the day if I really wanted it. If there is anything I have learned over the past few years, it's that balance is key. I don't care how cheesy it is. Balance and consistency are the two things that you need to have your mindset focused on because they're gonna make the world of a difference over time. And your fitness journey is basically the rest of your life, right? Like say you're trying to start right now, well, it's never gonna end. It's gonna go on forever and there's gonna be ebbs and flows. It's a roller coaster, right? And if your goal is losing weight, if it's recompositioning your body, whatever it is, it takes time. And although your journey might be like your whole life, I'm not saying like you're not gonna get to your dream for another 50 years. I'm just saying that because this really is a forever thing, you can't last the rest of your life all in. You have to find that balance and you have to be consistent. And by going all in, you are going to burn out. I don't know anyone who hasn't burned out from trying to just go all in. And in the beginning, you're gonna be motivated. You're like, I'm gonna do it. This time's my time. Like I can do this. You're gonna have beginner's motivation. That's totally fine. Take advantage of it, but you still gotta start slow, kind of do baby steps, find a consistent schedule, and evolve as you go. The next phase I recommend skipping is the scale watching, the over-analyzing, the letting that little number control you. Weighing yourself every morning, you're down a pound, you're feeling amazing in your head, you know, you tell yourself this is a great day, even though, you know, maybe you're exhausted, maybe you're not actually feeling well, whatever. And then maybe another day you are feeling well, but then you step on the scale and you lose it all. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm up a pound. How am I gaining weight? What is happening? I think I am gonna start trying to track things. I just need to be careful and notice if it turns me crazy. Remember, this scale fluctuates so much, not only throughout the day, but throughout the week, throughout the month. Yes, if you wanna lose some body fat, of course you wanna be on a downward trend, but day to day is not as important as month to month. Also, keep in mind if you're building muscle and losing fat, you might gain weight, and that's totally okay. Something I want to point out right now, if you're an intense scale watcher, I'm gonna put 2 photos of me. I'm not near, you know, my goal right now. I have a long way to go. I'm trying to do some recomp right now, but I am very close to the same weight in these 2 pictures, and I don't look anything alike in these 2 videos. And that is crazy, isn't it? Muscle is more dense than fat, but when you overanalyze and when you watch closely, you let it control yourself. Honestly, even if you're trying to lose weight, I recommend you getting rid of the scale. Personally, I say get rid of it. You don't have to throw it away, hide it, have your friend, your partner, whatever, hide it from you so you actually don't know where it is. Stop watching the scale. At the end of the day, the scale may really just mean nothing. Just like BMI, it's like, who really cares? BMI doesn't take into consideration the amount of muscle, the amount of fat on you. It's really not useful. Luckily, I haven't been a super crazy scale watcher in the past few years, but that is something you gotta let go of, especially if the number on the scale determines your mood, your energy, the rest of your day, maybe even the rest of your week. You don't want that number to control you. The next phase you must skip. Please, I'm begging you, skip this. The extreme caloric deficit. Now, okay, caloric deficit, what does that mean? Basically, consuming fewer calories than you burn. Burning more calories than you eat, right? It's math. Say you burn 2,000 calories in a day. Say you eat 1,800 calories in a day. Slowly, you're gonna lose weight, right? Like, that's literally just science, that's math. That is nothing to argue about. However, one thing you need to keep in mind, say you exercise and you burn 200 calories, you're not only burning 200 calories in an entire day, okay? Your body burns calories not only from daily activities, putting the laundry away, walking to your desk to sit down, but also your body burns calories simply by existing. So you cannot forget to factor that in. And you probably don't know your basal metabolic rate off the top of your head. That's totally okay. There are different ways you can try to calculate that, or like I have an Oura ring and it estimates that for me and I really like it, and I think the accuracy is pretty good on it. But you have to remember that even if you burn 200 calories during your workout, that doesn't mean you can only eat 100 calories in a day. I know you're not gonna eat 100 calories, but that's just an example number, right? So you have to know that there's so much more to account for other than just your workout. But also, say your body burns 200 calories in a day and you're like, okay, but I wanna lose weight fast, right? Like, I want this gone. So then you only eat 1,200 calories in a day. Mind you, that's like the recommended intake for a toddler. Yeah, I just looked it up. A recommended intake for a toddler is 1,000 to 1,400 calories a day. A toddler, okay? Keep that in mind. But I was someone who tried an extreme caloric deficit. You're restricting food. Not only is it ruining your relationship with food, with maybe exercise and your body too so much. Maybe you're headed down the road to an eating disorder. Maybe you've had experience with one in the past. I'm like casually kind of afraid of bread and carbs. An extreme caloric deficit is just ruining, it's wrecking your metabolism. I didn't eat that much today, but I like just feel so fat. Like, my stomach just feels huge. I don't know why. And it's something you cannot maintain, right? Like, you can't eat 1,200 calories every day for the rest of your life. Oftentimes, when you have such a big caloric deficit, you're restricting, you don't eat much, you have low energy, you can't do much. Not only is that not a way to live, but your body then is used to only eating that much. So once you start eating more, not only are you gonna gain the weight back, but a lot of times people actually gain more weight back than they lost. So it's a lose-lose situation. Yeah, you might lose 5 pounds pretty quick, but also that could be a lot of water weight. Your body's freaking out. It's like, what's happening to me? It's trying to conserve energy, hold on to some fat. Like, it doesn't know what's going on. It's starving, right? Like, you're depriving it. You gotta eat. A caloric deficit is a great way to lose weight, right? Again, the math is mathing, but the extreme gap is not it. It's gonna hurt you so much, both short-term and long-term, honestly. And don't you wanna be able to eat more? We'll get into kind of how to do that later on. But like, don't you want to be able to eat more and your body naturally burns more? That's where building muscle comes in. That's where it comes in. Another phase I definitely experienced that I really recommend you skipping is the detox teas, the skinny teas, the things that you think are just gonna cleanse your body and like flush things out and make you drop a few pounds. They seem like quick fixes, but that's the first red flag. If it seems like a quick fix, it's probably not gonna last, right? Your body naturally cleans itself, detoxes itself, you know, and maybe you're a certain case, maybe you had an infection, maybe you had some like heavy metals in your body and you, I don't know, that's like a different type of detox. We're not talking about that. We're talking about drinking a skinny tea when in reality it's just gonna make you like go to the bathroom a bunch of times and like pee and poop a bunch of stuff out, and then yeah, maybe you might drop a few pounds, but like that only lasts a day or two. I have done like a 30-day tea detox, I think at least twice before, and it was to the point where I would literally wake up in the middle of the night hurting and running to the bathroom. Why would I put myself through that? Especially when it doesn't last. My previous toxic mindset, I might get excited because the next morning I weighed myself and I'd be a little bit lighter. I'd be like, okay, I'm down the right path, but it does not last. And I can tell you a million times, but until you get that through your head, you might still gravitate towards stuff like this. You gotta know that it does not last. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time, waste of money. Also, we don't want to support companies that have these things. It's just not it. The next phase I recommend you skip, which I actually had this mindset kind of for a really long time, is that you didn't get a good workout in unless you sweat a lot. And if you do a lot of cardio, you'll probably sweat a lot, which is great. But I now think, and I have learned a lot, right, that an ideal, at least in my opinion, workout routine involves a lot of strength training and yes, some cardio. Your cardiovascular health is very important. But some people don't sweat a ton from strength training, and strength training is so important. Therefore, if you go lift weights and you don't leave dripping in sweat, that does not mean your workout was not effective. Same with like lifting weights doesn't burn as many calories as cardio, for example, but building muscle is so important because in the long run, your body will naturally burn more calories at rest doing anything. I just can't stress enough that the more and more I've learned, the more I realized that it's almost like the things that feel slower, that take longer, are a million times more beneficial than things that are shorter. And so cardio is great. I will always be a fan of the 12-3-30, stuff like that. I love it, and I love that it's a little bit of resistance with it because it's uphill, like don't even get me started, whatever. But sweating or, you know, burning a million calories is not the most effective way to measure your workouts. It's simply not. You might have a really great workout and barely sweat. That's just the truth of it. If you don't believe me, look it up. I don't know how else to like prove it to you because like it's just not like the #1 form of measurement of effectiveness of workouts. Off of that, the next phase I recommend you skip is the always wanting to do more, thinking you need to do more. You know, you do this workout, then you do this amount of cardio, then you think you have to work out 6 days a week, like always wanting to do more. I'm not seeing results, pushing yourself, whatever. Another thing I've learned so much throughout time is that rest and recovery is so crucial to progress in your physique, but also just in your health in general. We are so stressed nowadays. We have the shortest attention spans. Like there is just so many things. We're always on the go. We're overdoing the caffeine. And I'm guilty of some of these still, right? Like I'm not saying I'm perfect at all, but it's so easy for us to overwork, overdo it, and always want to do more, and sometimes you just need to rest. I'm so guilty of this lately. I, like I said, use my Oura Ring, and lately I've been sleeping pretty poor, and it's been saying like, Morgan, you're stressed, something's going on, like you need to chill it out. But so I'm trying to figure that out. I'm considering like taking a week off of working out so I can just focus on recovery. Like it's so important, and it's something that I've really been learning through the Mind Pump podcast. And just because it has the word podcast, do not diminish their credibility. If you don't listen to them, I highly recommend you listen to them. I learned so much good information about them. They're always fact checking everything, bringing up studies. Like it really is such a great form of both entertainment, but also like it's great to learn. I'll link their podcast below, but I do think they are very knowledgeable people, and it's something they stress a lot. And really, like, sleep is so important. It helps your muscles grow, it helps balance your hunger hormones, helps you with cravings. Like it helps do so much for you. It's a huge part of recovery. Like sometimes you gotta just slow it down. And that's the hardest thing to accept, because you think if you stop and if you slow down, you're not going to get anywhere, but that may not be the case. The next phase in your fitness journey I want you to skip is the earning your food or burning your food off phase. Again, a caloric deficit is important if you're trying to lose body fat. Like it's just math, but you deserve to eat. You need to fuel your body. Nutrition is so important. I went on a over 6.5 mile walk to attempt to burn off everything I ate. And that is not the reason I should be exercising, to try to undo what I just consumed. You're not going to get very far if you think that you need to burn off every calorie you intake, or you need to burn X amount of calories just to eat. Remember, your body burns calories at rest, and by doing so many things. Like most of your daily expenditure comes from tasks that you're doing, washing the dishes, walking around your house, whatever. And it is important to move. I'm not saying that you can just like not think about moving all day, especially if you sit at a desk all day. Like it is so important. But simply by you being here, you have the right to food. You have the right to eat. You don't need to work for it in that sense. And there's a fine line, right? Like don't sit on your butt all day and be lazy, but also you don't have to run 5 miles to eat dinner that day. Please just take my word for it. You deserve to eat. The next phase I recommend you skipping is the not sticking to your workouts because they don't feel effective, and being so hesitant to try something new, especially if you are a woman, because you know, throughout time there's been such a stigma about weights, like weights being for the boys and cardio being for the girls, and I want to be petite and little. I don't want to get bulky, which isn't gonna happen if you lift weights, but just being like so in your head about it, not trying something new, like almost being too close-minded. That is another thing that's not going to get you far. So many people like different forms of working out, and I was a huge walking person in the beginning, which is great. Always recommend walking. It's such a healthy exercise for you, but it did get to a point for me where I was like, okay, I need to try something new. I can't just like walk forever and that be the only, you know, main exercise I do. And it's scary, it's hard. Gym anxiety is a real thing, right? Like trying something new, especially when you don't feel super athletic, you're like, I'm not good at this, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you do a trial personal training session. A lot of times you can get the first one free. Maybe you pull in a friend that knows something. Maybe you start watching a ton of fitness videos online to really learn about this stuff. But it's so important to try something new. Figure out what you really like and what you enjoy so that it is sustainable for your lifestyle, but also so that you can feel, you know, what your body feels like in different exercise. And the more you try, the more you'll learn about yourself, the more you'll kind of figure out what feels best to you and your body. And honestly, I think the more you'll appreciate your body and improve your relationship with your body. I saw this video, like meme online that I actually thought was really funny. Look, working out should be fun. You should move your body how you want and you should enjoy it. The point of showing this funny meme video is just that some things may not be effective depending on your goals. Sometimes the basics are just right, but it does all depend on you and what you want to get out of this, of course. And it was part of the inspiration for this point because it is true. Like sometimes you work it up in your head like, oh, I don't want to run because I know I'll hate it, or I don't want to go lift a weight because like, ew, I don't want to get bulky, or like that's like a boy thing. But like that's just not true. It's like, do you have that in your head because you know it? Does it work for you? Or have you like even tried it? Sometimes you gotta go back to the basics, and the basics are the basics for a reason. If you've been following my journey, like I said, I've evolved so much. I've done so much walking, and now I'm like super into the weights, and I just truly love it. And I never thought that I wasn't gonna love it, but I just didn't have the urgency or like the sense to try it in the beginning. I was like, I don't know, like why would I weightlift? Like, I don't know, I'm just gonna choose something else instead. And I do wish that I tried more earlier on, and I'm really happy that I have finally tried more, and I've found how different things and activities feel in my body and what I like. And yeah, if I could go back, you know, of course I would do it earlier on, but I have gotten to that point. I'm really proud of it and I'm really happy. And if I didn't try like weightlifting in the first place or realize how important it was, like I would have never made it to where I am today. The next phase I recommend you skip is simply not educating yourself. How are you gonna make any progress if you don't understand how things work scientifically and how the body, you know, uses muscle, how muscle and fat impact different things? Like it is so important to start with your education. Education is such a privilege, and we have access to so many things at our fingertips. Of course, you have to be careful. There is misinformation online. It's easy to fall into that. But something that really made me want to talk about this is I actually joined this Facebook group. It's called something like Weight Loss for Women. It's a support group. It's a support page. It is great to have people going through a similar journey, to be able to talk to people, ask people for advice, like figure it out, whatever. And I actually joined this kind of after losing weight. I didn't do it as a support group because I didn't know about it at the time, but I found it and I kind of joined it because I was like, okay, what are people's opinions? What do people know? What is common knowledge? What isn't? Like, what is going on in this weight loss community? And the way I wish I could go into that page and give each woman in there a big hug and tell her it's gonna be okay, and try to give her some education on how this stuff works. Like, it's just crazy. Like, the amount of toxicity in there, it blows my mind. There's so many women like starving themselves and comparing themselves and like being afraid of things, and it just breaks my heart every time I read a post. And I've never posted in there, of course. Like, I'm not gonna go in and be like, hey, by the way, you're all doing this wrong, because I've been there, and so many of them are in so many of these phases that I previously mentioned. But I think simply starting with education could have changed so many of those issues and problems they're experiencing and just unhealthy relationships I'm seeing. And it really is sad. It breaks my heart. And it's like, I'm so thankful for how far I've come. And of course, I don't know everything. I'm not even certified in anything, okay? I only know what I know through experience and what I am trying to learn. And I'll never claim to know everything because I simply don't. And I will never claim to be like an expert because I'm simply not. And I don't have any training or any like course or anything to prove it. Like, I will never claim to be any of those things. But just through how much I've learned, it's like, I don't know, I just can't stress how important education is. Learning how harmful it is to restrict food so bad. Learning how important it is to build muscle on your body. If I could start this whole thing over, I would start with weightlifting. I wouldn't start just by walking. You know what? Maybe I would start walking to kind of open the doors for me to get into an exercise routine, but very early on, I would try to introduce weightlifting. That is what I would do, because walking is a way that got me into working out, and I love that so much. Like, you have to do something you enjoy, because if you force yourself to do something you hate, it's never gonna last, right? So like, I am really happy that I started walking so much, but I would have introduced weightlifting early on. Building muscle is so important, not only for losing weight, losing body fat, but your long-term health. Don't you want energy? Don't you want to be able to eat more and burn more calories at rest? Don't you want to increase your bone density and be able to be active now and in 10 years, in 20 years, and you know, one day maybe you have grandkids. Don't you want to be like playing with them on the floor? Don't you want to be able, don't you want to be in the best shape that you can be and like live your life with such high quality? I've really shifted my focus from losing weight and, you know, trying to get smaller. And of course in the beginning I wanted to lose weight. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But now I'm trying to build muscle. Of course I want a good physique. I'm not going to say that doesn't matter, because that does matter to me. I'm 25. I want to be hot and young while I can. Okay? Like, that's the truth. But also, I'm so focused on setting myself up for success for the rest of my life. Like, I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to be active. I want to, you know, not be super frail when I'm old. Like, I want to just be healthy. I want to reduce my risk of various diseases. Like, it's so important to me. And I think health is one of the best investments you can make. And if you don't make time for your health now, you're gonna be forced to make time for your health later. I think that's also a very important point and a very important quote or phrase or whatever. Meaning, if you don't work on it now and try to stay healthy now, you could get sick and really be out a lot of time and a lot of money. That was a long rant. The next phase I recommend you skip is the not following a workout plan, simply because following a plan is way more likely to get you results. It's more likely to be effective. You know, a plan that someone else designed that really knows what they're talking about, maybe more educated than you, it's really a smart thing. And I follow an app that I pay $15 a month for. It's really not that much of an investment, in my opinion. Plans and apps can vary so much in price, but there are really affordable options still from great sources. And not only does it really help with consistency, at least in my opinion, it really gets me to want to go to the gym to like not break the streak and like, oh, I did these muscles this day, I need to do these muscles so I could like stay working at everything in my body. I don't know, it really helps me get to the gym. I love following it. It's great mentally, but I think it also is a really great way to make sure you're being effective and getting results. So don't skip it. Consider following a plan. I love the Alive app. That's what I use now. And as I mentioned, I love the Mind Pump guys, and they have a lot of different programs. Look into them for sure. Those are all the phases I recommend you skipping. And now if I was starting from my beginning, wanting to lose body fat, wanting to lose weight, change my life, not really knowing anything, this is the exact layout, plan, sequence of events I would follow. I would, number one, start listening to Mind Pump. It is so easy to have podcasts on in the background while you're doing things. There's such good information and education on those episodes. I would simply start listening to them. I would then continue trying to educate myself. What is the best form of exercise? What's a good combination for my goals? What would fit me? Simply just educating myself. What is the science behind things? What happens if you don't eat enough? What happens if you eat too much? All of that. I would try to learn as much as I could. I would start walking. I would get into it. Like I said, it opened the door for me. I really love it. Then early on, I would introduce weightlifting. I would try to understand different types of lifts, focus on technique, really just learn for a few weeks. Then right away, off of that, early on, I would start following a plan. Whether that's the Alive app like I'm doing now, whether I would buy a Mind Pump program, or there's so many other options out there as well that I'm sure are great. I would have a step goal. I would work on my sleeping habits and my recovery. I would try to lower my stress levels. I would continue learning about nutrition, about protein. I would prioritize my protein intake way earlier on and try to really just create a lifestyle and overall diet that works for me, that makes me feel good, with lots of whole foods, lots of protein, and really understand why and how great this is gonna affect the rest of my life. And I would continue working on these things out of love for myself and out of working on myself now and just wanting to live the best and the healthiest lifestyle I can from here on out. I would forgive myself for everything I've put myself through in the past, but just know and trust the process and continue working on what makes me feel good now and forever. Even if I follow these steps, it's always a roller coaster. There's different life events that are gonna come into your way. There's so many things that are up in the air. And for example, the past 2 weeks, I haven't been doing my best. I know that. My nutrition's been slacking. My Oura Ring has been yelling at me. It's like red, red, red. It's like, Morgan, what are you doing? You need better sleep. You need to stop stressing. Like, I don't know. Ebbs and flows, ups and downs. I'm just going through a down portion right now, but I'm ready to get to that up again because I know it will come. I know things happen and it'll be okay. I truly think like I have transformed my relationship with myself, my body, food, exercise, all of it. And I've gone through the good, the bad, and the ugly. You truly learn the most and the best for yourself by doing. So the most important thing is just getting out there and starting and trying things. I really hope this video helped. I love talking about all of this stuff. And I saw this trend and I was like, you know what? This is a great long form sit down topic that I just want to talk about, and I just want to help you the best that I personally can. I'm always rooting for you, no matter where you are, no matter where you're going. I'm cheering you on. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next one.